present. Mark.
On behalf of the President of the United States Air Force, and a grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of your Armenians' honorable and faithful service.
Order. Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentation put on by Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 379 Yakima, and the United States Air Force. We wish to thank you for caring and for sharing. Honor Guard, dismissed.
I'd like to thank our United States military, all of those who have served. Any of you in here served in the military? Sometimes we think we do during the day by day, but I know that I want to say thank you to all of these wonderful people, and to John especially for this great honor that he has given to us. Anyway, we celebrated his birthday a little bit, and I wore my tie in honor of his military service. And I also don't get to wear this very often, and it is my associate outfit, and it has my name tag like his did on it in honor of him, and his coat is there. I miss him in it. As I was sitting here today, I was thinking that he should be up here making sure the flowers are just right, or he should be in the back here. I keep waiting for a strategic placement, if you will, of something, but I tell you, I never thought this day would come. I keep waiting for him to come pull up in the limo, because he loved to drive the limo, because he enjoyed people, enjoyed talking with them and visiting with them, and he was always one of the first to raise his hand and be on that limo, and he really took pride in everything that he did. And I'm talking from a perspective of all of us at the funeral home that knew him and loved him as a friend and a co-worker, but there are many people in the world before us. You know, his greatest birthday gift is in this room today. And so you all are the best gift that he ever could have been given. Now, are all of you family? Raise your hand if you're family. Everybody in here? Everybody's family. So, any friends? Did he have any friends? Had a couple anyway out there, yeah. I think everywhere he went, he made a friend. And so, you know, there was, and some of you have shared those things and thoughts already, but I do believe so. You know, I miss him coming into work, and I'll speak on a work perspective for a while, because that's kind of how we connected. Actually, that's how I met him, is on a service, and I was doing what he was doing when he left this world, and I was at a service, and he joined our team, and he was there, and he was kind of quiet in the corner, if you can believe that. He was quiet in the corner for a while, and he was just watching everything that we were doing, and he just kind of assimilated into the workforce and began to be a great force in that workforce, and we were so grateful. And I would come in and he would be having coffee, you know, sitting there drinking his coffee, and the little folders that you have right there, he folded thousands and thousands of those folders for people and wanted to make sure that they were just right. And everything that he did, he really took pride in doing. And all of you know these things, but it's always good to visit about the things that he had done. I loved the time where his hair was like mine for a long time. And one day he just says, "Kevin, I'm going to grow my hair out again. I'm going to go back to how it used to look." And I'm thinking, wonder what that's going to look like when you're all done. And sure enough, day by day, service by service, time by time, hair started coming back out, you know, and he had it all nice and growing and combing it. And I was like, wow, look at that handsome fella, you know. And then at the end, I started noticing, Sandy, I don't know if you probably noticed his little handles on his mustache there, little sexy handles he was growing out, you know. And I tell you, he was just quite the fella. He would always tell me that, and tell us that, now Steve was his direct supervisor, and he would always say, "Now Steve told me to come in at such and such a time," and he did. Every time before the service would start. He didn't really need to see Steve or us, but he did. You know, he retired and he had a great thing going, but he just loved people, and he loved, and he had a respect for that. So he would come in exactly when Steve told him to come in, and he was just a very, very wonderful guy to work with. I always teased him because I used to go to Seattle and receive people and bring them back. You know, I'd travel to Oregon, I'd travel places and help families. And pretty soon I just didn't do that as much anymore. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, why am I not traveling to Seattle? Or why am I not traveling to Oregon? Or why am I? And all of a sudden I'm noticing John's doing all this traveling around. So I'd always tease him about stealing my job. I said, John, you stole my job. And man, he would laugh for 5 minutes at that. You know, we just always go back and forth about that and other things, and just enjoyed that time with him. And as time went on, he kind of assumed the role of associate senior, if you will. And so he had his plan up for the day, and he would kind of organize things. You may have known him like this anyway, but he would make sure that whatever was going on was done right. And he would come in and not be real bossy, but he would be, let's say, directive. He would make sure that we were doing what we needed to do when the time came. But he always made sure that the people that we served were taken care of. And so his life's mission, not only in his work earlier on in life, but everything that he had done, I know that he really, it meant a lot to him to do what he did. Whenever he oversaw visitations, and he would work long hours. There would be times, Sandy, I know he'd come in early and be gone all the way till later at night doing visitations, and you probably enjoyed the time by yourself, you know, without him nagging you. But anyway, he really, you know, one of the things I noticed is I always tell when John worked a visitation, the garbage would all be empty. No matter how many people were there, and there were probably 3 times or 2 times in the whole time that he worked, and he didn't have to empty the garbage when he was doing it, and he would anyway, and I'd come in, oh, John worked a visitation last night because the garbage is all in everything. And then if he didn't get to it, he would actually apologize to me for not emptying the garbage, and I'm like, John, you don't have to apologize to me for not emptying the garbage. But he really, you know, he just, whatever task John had, John would do it to the very best of his ability. I would always tease John when he was entering his time, because he would come in and enter his time for the week, and I'd always say, John, why don't you put a few hours extra in for me if you would, you know, on your time? And he would laugh and he would say, no, not on this check. I can't do it on this check because I'm taking the wife down to the casino, so I have to have a little extra money. And he didn't refer to you as the wife and being disrespectful. That's just the way he presented you. And he said, yeah, we're going to go to the casino, and she loves going to the casino. Then he'd build it all up like it was your fault. Well, I know who liked to go to the casino. John loved to go to the casino. And I don't know if you know this about him, but we were at a Christmas party one time, and I was sitting there drinking a glass of wine, and my wife and I were just talking, and John came by, and he had this little glass. I don't know if he ever told you this, but he had this little glass, and it looked like water in it. I don't know what it was, but there was something in it alcoholic. And I said, John, what are you drinking? And I can't remember what he told me, but I always remember this. And he was laughing. He says, yeah, I drink this, but whatever it was. But he says, I put water in it, and you don't get drunk if you put water in it, you know? So I went home and tried that. It didn't work for me. So I got drunk drinking water. I'm not going to do that anymore. But he was just always smiling. That guy, he smiled no matter what happened. If the world was going to end, he would be smiling. And that's just the kind of guy that he was. He would come in and he'd have this big smile on my face. Yeah, the cancer doctor told me my numbers are going up, and he'd chuckle about it and go, now I'm going, did I just hear what I thought I heard? And just kind of glazed it over, didn't worry about it, or I'm taking this medication, or I'm doing this. But he would continue to do, fold the folders and visit with us and help other people. And I mean, I'm amazed. I learned a lot from him in just 10 years. I don't know how long we worked together, but it was probably 10 years or so. But I learned a lot from him, and I observed him in a very honorable way of how he took life and let it roll. Now, I don't know at home, Sandy, what all he shared with you and your relationship with things, but I do know that as far as, you know, sharing those kind of things, but with us, I mean, he was always like that, and always just happy-go-lucky, and it was like it was nothing. And I would just be thinking, man, if I had some of the things that he had, how would I react, or what would I feel? And so then in my heart, I started thinking, you know, I want to be more like John when it comes to that. I just do. I would like to smile more. I would like to be more like him, you know. Some time ago, John told me, he didn't ask me. He told me that he came up to me one day, and I was amazed at this, but he came up to me one day and he says, "You're going to do my service when I pass away." And I just stopped in my tracks and I said, "What?" "I want you to do my service when I pass away." "You mean you want me to be there and be an associate?" "No, I want you to officiate my service when I pass away." And I thought, oh, what an honor, you know. And I thought, well, John, you, and he says, "I'm Catholic, but I want you to do, you know." And he did. He told me, and I said, "Well, I would be more than honored to do your service." And he said, "You're going to do my wife's service too." Now, Sandy, I don't know if you know this about this. And I said, "I don't even know Sandy." And he goes, "That's okay. She doesn't care. She'll like you doing it anyway." And I was like, "But you better review that with her, because I don't know about." But it was a directive. It wasn't "can you," it was "I want you to do that." I was set back, but he wanted it here, and he wanted it like this. And I know that if we didn't have COVID going on, we would have a lot more, oh man, tons of people probably out the door. I didn't honestly think today would come. You didn't either. None of you, and I'm sorry it did. I really am, and I am honored to be John's friend and his co-worker. We all are. Every one of us that worked with him cared for him, and we wish we could have all been here today, but they're caring for other people too today as well. But today's his birthday, as we've shared, and what more appropriate, I think, than to share today as his birthday. He was born June 8th, of course, and you know a lot of these things, but we're just going to go through them real quick. In North Dakota, Strasburg, North Dakota, and he passed away peacefully May 5th, and he was 78. Oh, I was going to grab that frame back there, and that frame has a heart, and it has all kinds of things that I was reading. That's so cool. Who did that? That is beautiful. I mean, and it has all the things that he was in this heart. And I was going to come up and bring it up and read it, but you can see it, and many of you have read all the things that he has been to you in your life. And I'll get into having 3 daughters in just a moment. I don't know how he did it with 4 ladies in the house, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. But he passed away at Cottage in the Meadow peacefully, preceded in death by his parents, Alex and Clara. Now, if I get anybody's name wrong, stop me, please. His sister Donna and brother Bill, survived by his loving wife of 57 years, Sandy. I don't know how you did it, but you did. 57 years. Angie and Jay, Teresa and Craig, and Janine and Ty. 5 granddaughters, or I don't know if all the granddaughters were able to make it, but if you're his granddaughter, just slip up your hand. Any 2 of you? 1 grandson. Any grandsons here? Nothing like a grandpa to spoil you, is there? You know, especially like him. And also his sisters, and I think I have her name right, Brigitta? Is it Brigitta? Did I say it right? Brigitta.